Good afternoon. It's middle of March, just about equinox here. So it sure feels like we're on the cusp of seeding. I think we've got another foot of snow in the next week or so, but we're checking in on our Saving Soils post-potato cover crop trial. You can probably see from there's quite a bit of differences in how our treatments have panned out. So we're just going to take a look and see what we're seeing now, and we'll check in again before kind of in that mid-April time, kind of when we get a little closer to seeding and see how things shake out. So let's take a look. Okay. So we have a few different treatments for this trial. So right here we're looking at our fall rye. So we broadcast some fall rye, a couple of different rates. It's actually harder than you'd expect to differentiate the different rates. You can't really see it differently. The basically 1x rate and 1.5x rate. But if you look across the trial, you can kind of see that checkerboard. It's quite obvious where that fall rye is, and it's something we know that fall rye is a pretty good cover crop. In fact, in a lot of cases, it's actually too good, and you can see by how it's growing here. It's so robust, and you know, it's got another month of growth depending on who's seeding it and when we can seed. Another month of growth before we've got to cut into it and terminate it. So certainly effective for mitigating soil erosion, but maybe not the best option depending on what you're seeding next year and how tough it is going to be to get into it, or maybe moisture limitations. But certainly looks really, really good. And recall we had a pretty wide open fall last year, so lots of opportunity. I don't think we had freeze up until it might have been December. It was really late, so lots of chance for growth. Here we go, we're at our fall rye, and this was direct seeded. So on the left here, broadcast, on the right here, direct seeded, and really not a lot of differences. You know, you can obviously see the rows, but the broadcasting and sort of working it in actually worked pretty well. So we did disc it in after we broadcast. So either approach seems to be effective to getting some good crop cover. So another one of the treatments that we tried was an oat pea vetch blend, and the peas are winter peas, and the oats, I don't think we had winter oats, but so you can see we did have some pretty good growth in the fall. Even that next one would be the higher rate. You can see a little more plant matter there, but the winter peas, they don't look very good this year. So that's a bit of a risk if we're not going to get good survival. You can see we just don't have the same capacity to prevent against erosion as we would with that fall rye. So we have less above ground biomass, probably less root matter. So we'll keep monitoring that over the next little bit. 1, 2, 3, 4. So, and then this is just winter peas alone, and this is a direct seeded. So again, with the oat pea vetch, we did broadcast and direct seeding. Winter peas, broadcast and direct seeding. So this is the direct seeding on these winter peas, and there's some green matter, but yeah, I'd say I'm a little disappointed in how they're performing. We're not getting as much coverage as we might have hoped. I'm on the wrong side here. Much coverage as we might have hoped on it, but again, we'll keep an eye on it. But this is the time you want coverage, right? The snow's melted. We're going to get those spring winds soon, and you want to make sure something's there to prevent against erosion. And I'm not sure this is going to cut the mustard. So here's our broadcast of our oat pea vetch that we looked previous to this. Again, decent coverage, but just not a lot of green here. So maybe some adjustments to be made there. But again, possibly better than not much. So last, we'll kind of wander over to the untreated zero cover crop. So nothing here, no weeds, nothing's even coming out of the ground. Yeah, we've had a pretty decent winter as far as wind, so we're not seeing any difference in soil movement. But this is completely exposed, ready to be blown away. So if we do get a wind event, maybe we can kind of check out some differences between treatments. But I mean, summer here is the fall rye is really effective, but it might be too effective. So I think there's some work to be done in sort of fine-tuning the treatments, what's going to work, what isn't going to work. Because if we're going to invest in doing these cover crops, you know, we had the perfect year for it last year. You'd like to be able to see some appreciable benefits for soil protection in the following spring. So with that, I think we'll check in again, probably closer to seeding when we're getting close to terminating this these cover crops, and that'll be sort of the final say on what's working and what's not, and where we're going next.